Cool. So
The PP podcast.
The PP podcast.
Make of that what you will.
It's the PP podcast because our surnames are P and we are still children.
We are 10 years old.
I don't know what we're going to talk about. Have you got anything you wanted to like?
Yeah, I think I've got stuff.
Because I have done no preparation.
I have things to talk about because the day after that I saw you at your garden and we had that coffee, I then spent Monday and Tuesday stoned out of my head with Bill, just watching movies and TV shows. So I've watched quite a lot. We watched all 3 Maze Runner movies.
Okay.
We watched Divergent, which is shit. We watched Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is pretty good because it's just a dumbass like monster movie. And then we watched The Fifth Element, which I've never seen before, and that movie is a fucking godsend. Like, so fucking good. Like, the campus sci-fi thing I think I've ever watched. And then since I moved to Spain, I've been watching Gran Hotel, which is like a really dramatic Spanish Netflix series about this hotel in Spain. And it's like an Agatha Christie novel because it's like betrayals at every corner and there's so much drama and like within like an episode someone got murdered, someone fell down the stairs who was pregnant, the murder weapon was discovered, like all this crazy shit's going on all the time and I can't keep track of it, but it's so entertaining and I think my mum really likes it as well, so I'm down with that shit.
Ooh, the pics look sexy on this, I have to say.
Yeah,
it's definitely going for a vibe.
It is a vibe. I think I'll talk mostly about the Maze Runner trilogy because I think that's where most of my thoughts lie at the moment.
Well, I've never seen it, but I have read the book.
You read the
first
book?
Maze Runner book, and I remember reading it and thinking that it was written like a really like low reading level.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just remember like it wasn't a bad plot and premise, but like the actual writing itself was not good.
It's YA, definitely. The movie reflects that in that it's got like a good plot and it's got a good premise and like decent characters, but it's not like extravagant, it's not like Oscar bait or anything, it's literally made for like teenagers.
Young adult Oscar bait.
The first one is not bad. It's not a bad movie. It's got some good action. You don't really know what the fuck's going on. It's really weird. Like, me and Bill watched it, and I was like, that was okay. I gave it 3 stars on my Letterboxd. Follow me at the Peanut23 on Letterboxd if you really want to.
How do you do your rating on Letterboxd? That's an interesting one.
Okay, so 5-star. It doesn't mean it's like a 10 out of 10. It just means it's one of my favourites. So like Pacific Rim, 5 stars that shit, because that is not like an amazing movie. It's probably a 3 stars, really. But I love it like with all my heart.
Yeah.
And then
I feel like you've got to rate films on how much you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, it's not, because if you're just going off like or how like much there's like cinema to it, like the cinematography, you're not really reflecting whether you even like the film.
Exactly. Like Mother, I fucking hate that movie. Fucking shit. I can't deny that it doesn't look good. It looks amazing, and it's shot amazingly well, but I think it's a pile of shit. So like, there you go. So like, yeah, 5 stars are favourites. 4 stars are like really, really like it. Great movie. 3 stars like that was pretty good. I got like something out of that. Yeah, it was alright. 2 stars is like that was not good, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. And then obviously like 1 star or half a star is like I fucking hate this movie to death. Like I hate it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's kind of similar to my reasoning, so it like that does kind of make sense. I guess mine's a little more shifted at the bottom end in that I don't have that 1-2. Like if I don't like a film, it gets a 1.
Oh yeah, you're pretty like from what I've seen.
Yeah, so if you look at like my ratings, a lot of them are quite low because like if I hate a film or I just think it's boring, I just give it a 1.
Yeah. I've seen a few of yours. I think I was talking with Matt once and I was like, oh yeah, I saw James like reviewed this thing on Letterboxd and he gave it like 2 or 1 stars. I was like, what the fuck, man? And then I went through your style, your ratings, and there was so many movies. I was like, James gave that a 1. I was like, what?
Yeah, so it looks like it's so like I don't know, because you can look at like the distribution and like
Yeah.
mine peaks at 2 because that's how I've done it. Of like 1s I don't like, 2s are okay, they're all right, you know, I don't mind putting them on, and then that gives you like the 3, 4, 5 split to really split out the movies you actually like.
Yeah.
So you spend more time thinking about the films you like, and anything you don't like, you're not sat like, do I hate this or not?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely like 1s and 2s. They're basically the same, but 2s were like bearable.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then the 3, 4, 5's similar to you.
Yeah.
Like it, great movie, favourites.
Love it. Yeah.
Love it.
So Maze Runner, 3-star that shit, because it was like, it wasn't bad. I actually enjoyed it. It wasn't like a waste of time. And then we have Maze Runner 2, The Scorch Trials. Oh my god, dude. It is one of the most pointless movies I've ever watched. I didn't even explain what the fuck Maze Runner's even about. Basically, one day, guy wakes up, he's going through like a shaft in like an elevator, and it opens up and it's like a Florida glade into a big maze, and they're all like, what's in the maze? How do we get out of the maze? They eventually get out of the maze, and it turns out they were like test subjects. Maze Runner 2 happens. Basically, holy fuck. They were test subjects for a cure for this disease called the flare, which turns you basically into a weird zombie. And you've got like these like desert tribes and like a government that's got like this crazy city. It's really fucking weird. The second movie, it's not even like bad fun where there's like nonsense happening and you can have a good time. It's just 2 hours 20 minutes of just meandering. You don't learn anything. Like the plot barely progresses. The only good thing that happens is that I can't remember the actor's name, but Gus from Breaking Bad's in it.
Oh, fucking hell!
And he's like a supporting character, and he's always like, "Hey, hermano," and he's like bringing out all these words, and I'm like, "What are you doing in this like trash series?" But okay.
He was just bored, like.
Yeah, definitely. The only good bit is at the end when they have a massive fight, and there's like guns and helicopters and crazy shit going on. It was bad. I did not enjoy it. I gave that shit a 1 star.
It does sound like they're trying to like check off different genres. Like, you know, the maze at the start has got like Hunger Games game show vibes.
Exactly.
Okay, we've got a plague. Okay, it turns people into zombies.
Yeah.
It was done by the government.
It's mad shit, honestly. And then the third movie happens, and that's called Maze Runner: The Death Cure. That's like the dumbest name ever. I love it. That one was not as good as the first, but better than the second one, so I gave it 2 stars. But I don't know why, but me and Bill thought there was going to be like a final maze. I can't remember if we were just really stoned or like we just made it up, but we were convinced they were going to have to like go through a final maze to get somewhere or finish the fight or whatever. But that one was better because there was like more action scenes and like goofy dialogue. So that was like, and it had like a satisfying conclusion. Like they did it, the kids won.
Yeah.
The worst bit of the whole trilogy is like the name of the organisation that's trying to make the cure, but is like an evil company. Oh my god, Littlefinger. He's like the main antagonist, and he's just as like ridiculous as always. But the company's called Wicked, and then on the tagline for the final poster, it was like Maze Runner: The Death Cure. The end will be wicked, and I was like, oh, dude.
That's so young adult though. That's like absolute generic young adult.
Total trash. But it was an experience, and it was one of the YA things, like the big ones, like the ones that got me into movies like Twilight or Divergent or whatever that I actually hadn't seen. And I do enjoy them because they're crap. So, yeah, it was a vibe, and I'm never going to get this 5 hours back, but for the most part, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. The thing I like about it is, or like thinking about the Hunger Games and stuff, is thinking back to reading the similar like young adult books, because that sitting and reading those is like such a big part of my teenage years. Like those books,
100%. Yeah,
reading them, talking to my dad about them, chatting to you about them, and so like almost nostalgic, right?
Yeah. Fucking Skulduggery Pleasant, bro.
Oh, Skulduggery Pleasant was the shit, the absolute shit.
Like that's probably my favourite. Like they were so good. I think the dude still writes, Derek O'Landy, I think his name is.
Yeah, Derek O'Landy. I probably have the book behind me. Derek Landy. There we go.
Yeah.
That's the film I want to see. I want to see the Skulduggery Pleasant film.
I swear, would they not make one at one point?
I feel like it would work really well as like an animation.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be good.
In like Spider-Verse style. Not like 3D animation, that kind of cartoony 2D style, a bit darker palette.
Definitely.
But otherwise, like that kind of style, I think would work so well.
Oh no, ignore me. I don't think it's happening anymore. Yeah. Also, it's probably a bit late for a movie. Like that's like a 10-year-old series at this point.
Yeah. Like all the people who read it have just like moved out of the demographic where they're going to want to watch it.
I'd still watch it, but goddamn.
The thing is, if it was live action, I'd be so nervous about it though.
Yeah.
Just like they're going to massacre my series. No.
They always do. Like the live action ones always suck ass at this point. Like I can't. None of them come to mind, but I'm pretty sure whenever like the Disney remakes, or I honestly would just be happy with like more animated stuff. Like every time when it comes to adaptations, like 100%.
I mean, animation is a massive genre for a reason, right? Like, or a massive like medium because it lets you do more than live action.
Yeah.
It doesn't break your immersion like CG because you don't have to suspend disbelief suddenly 20 minutes into the movie. It's like you knew it was a cartoon at the start and your brain's like happy with it.
Yeah, I get that for sure.
I think Spider-Verse is a great example of that.
That's a good movie. That's very
like I watch a lot of superhero movies, but that is definitely my favorite superhero film.
Yeah.
By a margin, actually.
It's so well made compared to like there's some like decent Marvel films that are like they actually gave a shit, but Spider-Verse is definitely like the best one that's come out since 2008 because it's just you can just tell how much work they put into it.
Yeah, I've got a lot of time for Marvel as like a whole. Like the fact they've made so many movies and managed to tell a story like across those films. But when you look at like each individual film, they're mostly just okay. They're like blockbusters I'll put on, have a reasonable time because, it's some cool set pieces, but
yeah, definitely.
Like none of them are in the same league as the Spider-Verse. That's one of my, my 5 stars, my favourites, for sure.
Like I'd put that in like a big list of my favourite movies ever because it was just that good.
Yeah, as opposed to like, I don't know, anything else Sony have done.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, to be fair.
Like I put, because I saw it on Netflix, so I just put Venom on the other day. And I watched the movie, and then at the end it has like a teaser bit for Spider-Verse. And I was just like,
does it?
Just the fucking contrast.
Yeah.
Like I'm sat, reminded that Sony made both these films and they're at like the opposite ends of the spectrum.
It is bizarre, the contrast. I guess that's how like these big studios are though, like they put out so much stuff that some of it's just gonna be crap because it just has to be.
Yeah, they just release it. Yeah, got to give them props for going with something like Spider-Verse though. It definitely wasn't like a safe bet, was it?
No, for sure.
When you think about the kind of films that had been storming the box office.
Yeah, there are audiences that probably wouldn't have taken to it, but to be fair, I think everyone that's watched that movie was like, that's good.
For sure, and that's what I'd love to see them do with Skulduggery.
Yeah,
that would be. I can literally just picture the vibe. Like a lot of the cover art and stuff lends itself to that.
Definitely.
As well, like, I think.
A lot of Atmos. That was so good, dude. Like, holy shit, some of those like battles and like I don't know why, but the one thing that always comes back to me, I can't remember which book it's from, it might be the 3rd or the 4th one, where they've had like a big battle with maybe like the Faceless Ones or some other big bad. But I think is it Valkyrie? That's the name, isn't it? The
Yeah.
protagonist. She's like in the hospital bed, or she's like been fucked up, and I think someone's like, no, you need to rest. And then the right Derek Landy steals the line from, I think it's Predator, or I think it's or Rambo or something. And she goes like, I ain't got time to bleed. And it's like such like an action movie like fucking tropey line. And I just love that he was like, people are going to enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like some kid will see Predator and they'll get this line.
And they'll be like, oh, they referenced Skulduggery Pleasant. Yeah, I mean that series, yeah, it is one that sticks with you. It's weird how like I still remember like that. Yeah, some bits just stick with you. The one that came to my mind was this like, I think it is in the third one where the faceless ones are like breaking through into reality.
Yeah.
And do you remember like the character of Mr. Bliss?
Oh shit! Was he the vampire? I can't remember.
Nah, so he's like China Sorrow's brother, I think.
Yeah.
And he's just like the bald guy who is just super strong.
Yes. I
And
do
like
remember him.
it's the scene where he dies. Spoilers, everyone. our massive audience. Like it's written something like, you know, he had a look on his face like someone who's not used to feeling pain.
Yeah.
He looked confused, and then he exploded.
Yeah.
Just like this moment of that's how like he showed like how cool a character he was, and then they fucking killed him.
And just pop.
Yeah, I feel like I could read those now and enjoy them.
Yeah, because like, even though they were like for like teenagers or whatever, I'm pretty sure I like must have reread them at some point when I was like maybe 15 or 16, when I was like coming out of that like genre of books, but they're just really fucking good. I could definitely go for some more of that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how much. It wouldn't have the same impact if I was reading them for the first time now.
Yeah, no.
But as like a reread, I could definitely pick them up again.
Yeah, I'm not the same edgy teenager anymore, so I feel like the pull isn't quite as much. Now I'm more into like actually edgy things, like reading like short stories or like literature from like dead tortured writers like Hemingway and shit like that.
Oh wow.
That's like highbrow edge, I think.
That's what's got you going at the Mo.
Pretty much, yep. And like Soviet science fiction, it's really bleak.
Oh no, that's
my shit.
I haven't quite hit a phase like that. I mean, last thing I read was I reread Alice in Wonderland.
Oh really?
So yeah, it was more of the. I bought myself a new copy actually because I only had I had Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, but I didn't have Through the Looking Glass.
Oh, okay.
So I bought myself a new copy, and I want to sit and read Through the Looking Glass as well because I've never read it.
Nice.
I've only read the first one, but that's one of the things that had spurred my recent revisiting of art and books actually. Just the original, because there's it's you know the original story, but also the original illustrations from
okay.
Tenniel, I think it is John Tenniel.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I just love Alice in Wonderland is like one of my favourites just for the for the madness of it and
it's just a massive LSD trip, like just straight up but in words. It's good.
Yeah. How to trip on words.
Literally.
Yeah, for sure.
By Lewis Carroll.
I did a couple of random sketches of the characters.
Yeah.
Because like, there's a few I hadn't realised as well. Because I assume you've seen the Disney.
Yeah, I went to see it for Martin's birthday. Wait, what we talk about? We talk about Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I meant the original, like the original Disney one, but also the new one. The new one we can shit on if you want.
I've seen both. Yes.
Yeah, but I didn't realise the original's like kind of. I assumed it would just be exactly the same, but there's a few characters that don't pop up, like the mock turtle.
Oh yeah.
Which is like a weird turtle with like a cow's head, and he's like just spends the whole time crying and singing songs and then crying about the songs.
Jesus.
And just like, I see why they cut it, because I was just like, I'm not high enough to read this and understand it.
Yeah, man. Alice in Wonderland. That movie, I went to see it at the fucking View for Martin's, I think, like 13th or 14th birthday. We'd always watch a shit movie on Martin's birthday. We watched Alice in Wonderland, and then do you remember John Carter that came out that one year and lost like $100 million or something? And then we'd go and get Pizza Hut afterwards and get stuffed crust. That was pretty good, despite these always being total shit.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, what's your current if you've been reading some, like, tortured artists, passion project, what's your current one that you got on the go?
I'm reading, I've read a lot of stuff recently, but I'm reading like Hemingway's like the first 49 stories, so it's just like a bunch of short stories in this like collection. So far they're all a bit like depressing and about like death and stuff. So like the first one, it was called The Short Happy Life of Francis Macomber, and it's just about like, I think it's just this British dude who's like hunting on safari in Africa in like early 20th century, and he's got his wife with him, and then he's got like an American dude, I think it's American, who's like the guide who like runs the safari, and it's basically just like how he shits his pants when he sees a lion and can't kill it, and then he's like paranoid. And then they find, I think it's some buffalo, and then he's like, he kills one and he's like, oh, I'm the big man, and then as they go into the bush to like, finish off the last one, it comes out of nowhere, and his wife like tries to shoot the buffalo to save him but misses and kills him and shoots him in the head. So it's just all these like tragic stories. There was one about a Spanish kid in Madrid in like the 30s who wants to be like the bullfighter, and he's like taunting the kid who works in the kitchen. He's like, come on. So the kid like straps knives to like a chair, and like the other kid's got like the thingy, the cloth, the red cloth, and he's like, come on, do it. So the other guy's like, okay, and he charges him and fucking sticks him with the knife. And obviously the kid who wants to be the bullfighter is like lying on the kitchen floor bleeding out, and he's like, wow, I never thought this would happen to me. Boom, next story. And this next one's about a dude.
Doesn't give you much time to grieve.
Yeah, no. Like, he's I think he's running a safari, or has made like a safari thing in Africa. There's a lot of Africa stuff because Hemingway lived there for years. And they were near Mount Kilimanjaro, and then I think his leg gets fucked up from something, and it's got gangrene, so he's dying. And it's just him like ruminating on all the things that he's not written about, like stories or things he's experienced. And then it goes with, it kind of like makes out like the plane arrives to like take him to the hospital or some shit. But then I think it actually happens that he's fucking cacked it in his bed, and his wife is like, no, Harry, motherfucker's dead. Boom. So the first 3 stories have been hella about death and like how quick it comes for us all. So that's been fun to read before I go to bed.
I mean, we're laughing about it now, but I bet it's like it's a different vibe when you're reading it, right?
No, definitely. It's a bit like, whoa, okay. And then, to be fair, I've read so many books I could go on for literally hours, but I'll just say one more, and it's called The Snail on the Slope.
Oh, I like the title.
And it's by, I'm going to fuck up this pronunciation, but Arkady and Boris Strugatsky, and they made like my favourite book ever, called A Roadside Picnic. There's 2 Soviet dudes, brothers, who wrote all these like stories together, and this one's fucking sick. I've not finished it. I started reading the short stories, but it's basically like, what is it? There's like a massive forest that just kind of like grew, and no one really knows how it got there, but it's like fucking massive, like bigger than the Amazon rainforest. And there's like a organization that like maintains or like investigates the forest, and it's like one dude wants to get in there, he doesn't know why, but he wants to go in the forest, and then there's one dude who wants to get out of the forest because he crashed his plane there, and it like flips between the two different perspectives, and it's like fucking weird, dude. Like just the way they describe this forest, and I'm like, oh, that's trippy. It's almost like, did you ever watch Annihilation on Netflix?
No, I haven't seen it.
That's all about like a random zone that appears. It's based off a book that I thought was shit, but that's another thing. And it's like how they make it seem so like otherworldly and like alien, but you want to know more about it. But they're never going to give you the answers because that's the whole point, that humans can't know everything. So it's really clever. It's a fucking sick ass name. So yeah, that's the kind of shit I've been reading. Lots of weird stuff and like morbid things. But there we go.
Yeah, that can be good shit sometimes.
Defo.
I did read a slightly weird one recently, actually. Not massively morbid, but it's called John Dies at the End.
That's a good name.
So it's by David Wong, and they have this, they call it the soy sauce, the sauce, which is basically this like drug you take that means you can like, it just means weird shit happens to you. It means you're like on the radar for like all the alien creatures that are around us all the time, but most people don't notice.
Oh, weird.
It like gives you some powers, but also like has like weird side effects. So
that sounds very like Bloodborne-y.
Yeah, it's a bit like it goes a bit like horror. It's set like very modern day.
Yeah.
So they're like driving around, but it has like weird sections of otherworldly stuff, and it's like, for me, it's a nice mix of gruesome and comedy.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not a farce by any means, but there's elements of humor to it.
Okay, that's cool.
It helps, like it complements quite well, I think.
I do enjoy black comedy now and then. Like they are decent. Have you seen Death of Stalin? That came out a couple of years ago.
I've heard about it, but
you would fucking love it, dude. It's literally about like what happens. I don't know if it's like, I think it might be fairly historically accurate, but then they like turn it into a black comedy, and it's got like
okay,
Steve Buscemi in it and loads of other guys, and it's like, he's dead. What did we do? And it's just so fucking funny. I won't spoil any of the scenes because it's really good, but you would definitely like it.
Okay, I'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
Death of...
It's a bit like Jojo Rabbit, but a bit less. More of a black comedy rather than like. I don't know, actually, Jojo Rabbit. Have you seen Jojo Rabbit?
Yeah.
Fucking good movie.
Yeah, I love that film.
It's similar.
Yeah, I mean, Jojo Rabbit, it's kind of like, it's not a black comedy in the sense that the bad things, like the real darkest bits, aren't the humour.
No, yeah, exactly.
Whereas like often when you watch something, like you're kind of laughing, but if you look at it in a different light, it's really horrific.
Yeah.
Whereas in the darkest bits of Jojo, it is sad.
Yeah.
And it lets you feel that sadness and goes to that place rather than, and then the other bits are just silly, like when he's being his best friend Hitler.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really dark,
No.
but it is just so ridiculous.
There's so many good bits in that movie. I think my favourite character was Sam Rockwell's character, who plays like the closeted gay like German commander of the town, and he's at the end, and it's him and Alfie Allen, and he's like got like a big trumpet, and like he's got his like ridiculous pistols and his massive cape and stuff.
Yeah.
And even that,
It's like
he saves Jojo at the end, and like, does he call him a Jew or does he call him something else? I can't remember. To like save him from like the Soviets and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a fucking good movie.
Yeah, I really like that film. The scene that sticks with me is the with when Scarlett Johansson's like puts the beard on.
Oh yeah.
And he's like dancing around to entertain him. I don't know why that scene really sticks in my head. And then, well, obviously, then when they hang her.
Yeah, and he just walked. Dude, she's really good in that movie. Like, I know ScarJo, everyone kind of hates her because of the whole taking roles that aren't for her kind of thing. But regardless of that, in the movie,
I had not heard about that.
What?
But...
Like, there's so much stuff where she keeps getting roles that are like Asian roles and stuff. Like, anyway, she's good in the movie, and the bit when he's like walking outside and he bumps into her fucking feet hanging. I was like, ugh. I felt my heart break.
I mean, it is the big sad moment in the film where you...
Big sad.
Yeah. You don't feel good. But
Exactly.
I think that's why it's a good movie, though, right? Because it does...
100%.
Like... It just that it would be quite easy to try and make that kind of film and just come across as insensitive or...
Yeah.
You know, like, it is obviously a massively serious subject matter, so to write a comedy about it, you kind of need to have some of those elements.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just like you're taking a piss almost.
Yeah, or you can't... Yeah, you it's almost like you're making it in bad faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a bit like... I don't know if you've ever watched Blackadder Goes Forth.
I've not, but I know, like, Blackadder and stuff.
Yeah, so that's the fourth and final season that's obviously in... They're in the trenches. And, like, it was one of the either writers or directors talking about it and how they knew from the get-go that they had to have the finale being them going over the top and take a serious note. They couldn't have just had the series where...
No, you can't just be messing about.
It's all light in the end, you know. However many jokes they made, they had to keep it serious in that regard to, like, have at least... You maintain that respect, I guess, for what they're writing about.
I get that, for sure.
And so that I can kind of see... I feel like the same applies to Jojo in that sense.
There's loads of sad bits. I swear, at the end as well, doesn't he, like... I can't remember what the girl's called, but when the war is over or something, and I think he's, like, gonna pretend to her that the war's not over so he can, like, keep her in the attic.
Yeah, he tells her that the Germans won.
Yeah, I was like, the fuck? I was like, no. I felt sick.
I was like feeling literally sick in my stomach. Is this how the movie's going to end? He keeps her hidden in the walls because he doesn't want her to go. I was just... I mean, it would have been so memorable, but also just for my own, like, health and happiness, I'm glad that they go out and they realise that's not what happened.
Thank God.
That was,
Heavy.
I just did a quick check that, like, Audacity is recording. Yeah, I just had the moment of panic that if we've been...
Just me talking to myself as a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, just repeated on and on over and over again.
I mean, not as a, like, regular podcast, but if somebody uploaded a one-off where it's just, like, one side of it, I feel like you could get, like, quite a funny track.
Exactly.
It's almost like a murder mystery or a,
I was gonna say,
you know, you could go down that vibe where you slowly learn more from half the conversation.
Pick it all up. And we could, like, hide puzzles, like, in random bits of the internet and stuff. No one would ever find them. No one would know where they are, but it'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be like one of those, like, an interesting creative project, like setting it. Can you tell an interesting story with only half the story?
Yeah.
Because it's quite tricky, right, to write that without it just being so frustrating for the audience. It's like, have you seen the film Memento?
No, but I've heard of it. I know people. Is it good? I think everyone thinks it's good, right?
It is excellent. It's in my top 10 films list, and for that reason, I don't want to spoil it for you.
Maybe I'll watch that. What else is in your top 10?
So number 10. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have done them like 10, 9, 8, but I love them all, so it could...
Yeah. No particular order.
Could kind of switch, but... I've got Truman Show.
Good, yeah.
Taxi Driver.
That is.
Clockwork Orange. Mm-hmm. Requiem for a Dream.
That's on that.
Spirited Away.
Cool.
Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
Memento.
Yeah.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, yeah.
Which is 1975. It's Jack Nicholson.
Right.
It won the Oscar that year, I think, actually.
Shit.
But
Damn.
I think that's a great film. Obviously, in my top 10.
Yeah.
Prisoners is at number 2. I don't know if you've seen Prisoners.
Yeah, you told me to watch it. I watched that over lockdown. That, holy shit, is a movie. Like, that's like the best thriller movie I think I've seen. That shit was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk and may do at some point,
We can do
like
a Prisoners.
about all of these films.
Yeah. Prisoners are ridiculously good.
I think it's one of those for me that like I don't often see people talking about Prisoners.
Yeah.
Like it's not like some films, obviously, like it's in everybody's top 10. Well, not everybody, but loads of people talk about it. It's absolutely raved about, really popular. But Prisoners, like I obviously I watch a lot of people on YouTube. Like I'm interested in different channels where they talk about film. Articles pop up for me because I sit and read about it, and I never see it brought up. And I think it's such a great movie. From the acting to the premise to really caring that these girls are missing and feeling like being able to think, what would you do if the kids are missing and you believe this person knows and nobody else does, and like that whole exploration of what terrible things would you actually be willing to do and would you justify to yourself.
It seems like Hugh Jackman would do many. He would do many.
Yeah Jesus. I think it helps. I watched this film in the cinema.
Oh, nice.
I watched this film in the cinema, and it was watching it as a teenager. I think helped. Like a lot of these films, like I've watched a lot of movies since, and it's harder to break into the top 10 because they're not formative films anymore.
No, I feel like one of my favorite movies ever is Superbad. It's not like the best movie ever because I watched it about 50 times when I was like 13, because it's like a coming of age like. Dumb Seth Rogen Judd movie, Judd Apatow. I was like, this is the best movie ever, and I still think it's really good, but it's definitely the formative ones always stick, don't they?
Yeah, you've seen it at like just the right time in your life, kind of thing. My number one, by the way, is Wallace and Gromit: A Grand Day Out.
Is it? What's your favorite movie, or one of your favorite movies?
That's my all-time favorite.
Damn, dude. I mean, that's fair. I do love Wallace and Gromit.
I mean, it helps that it's like only half an hour, but for me, it's like one of those films where I watch it and there's just nothing wrong with it.
It's perfect. Yeah.
I love every character. I love the story. I love the tone. It makes me laugh. There's so many details in it that have it's obviously been made with love. Yeah. Anything like that kind of stop motion animation, you have to pour so much into it.
Yeah, I get you.
It being half an hour as well, it's like...
I do love a short movie. They're so good.
It almost seems unfair because for like a movie that's 2 hours long to maintain the level that does for half an hour is like so hard.
I get that, for sure.
But yeah, that's my number one.
That's a good list. I don't know if I have a number one. I don't even have a top 10 because I like lots of movies, but like a few of like the 5-star ones that I've got. I think there's like how many, like 20, 25 that I've got are like 5 stars on Letterboxd. Stuff like Jojo Rabbit's on there, Knives Out is on there, Mad Max Fury Road, Blade Runner, both Blade Runner movies, Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Oh, Little Miss Sunshine it's a black comedy. It's real fucking good, like banging good. Columbus was really good. La Haine, which translates from French to hate, and is like all about the Paris like ghettos in the 90s with like police brutality and stuff.
Oh wow!
And that's probably one of Matt recommended it to me because I think he had to watch it for film class. That's one of the best movies I've ever seen. That's in the top 10 for sure. And then it's like all my sci-fi stuff like Children of Men, Alien, Predator, Star Wars, a few Korean movies that I really like Parasite or Memories of Murder. There are apparently 30 films that I've rated 5 stars, so got a lot of favourites apparently.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it depends how many you've seen, right? Because it just will tick up eventually.
Oh yeah, that's true actually, yeah.
Because like I've rated 52 films 5 stars, which seems like a lot, but then it's out of like, 750 films. Yeah. So
I think I've watched like 560 maybe, something like that.
I get where you're coming from though, in that like a top 10 is so hard. I guess like some of my reasoning behind my top 10 is I've kind of picked different kinds of movies.
Yeah. Okay, no.
Like, you know, I love The Wrong Trousers just as much as I love A Grand Day Out, really. And, like, I could have both of those in, but it's not saying anything.
Yeah.
When you know, in the same way that, like, Prisoners really stands out as a thriller. I don't even know what genre One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is, but that stands out as, you know, whatever it is. Spirited Away, you know, like, I've watched a whole bunch of, you know, different Japanese films and generally animations, and that's, like, one of the standout ones.
It's so fucking good.
So, yeah, that's kind of, like, I kind of took, of those 50 that I really love, it's, like, these 10 stand out as for that, like, genre or for that feel.
Oh, I'd be so fucked. There's so many sci-fi movies that I'd want to put as my, like, it's my sci-fi movie.
Yeah, like, what do you... I don't know... I don't even know if I have, like, or any of... None of those are really, like...
Oh.
I mean, A Clockwork Orange has kind of got a bit of a weird...
Yeah, it's got some...
dystopian feel, but it's not really...
It's not like...
It's not sci-fi like Star Wars is sci-fi,
yeah,
right?
It's not hard sci-fi.
You know, Star Wars has not made it on my top 10. Like,
Yeah. Oh, dude, I don't even know. There's, like, so many. Unless, I guess I could get away with Alien, or Aliens being, like... Oh, shit, because now Aliens is an action movie and Aliens is a horror movie. So it's hard. I'd have to spend, like, an hour...
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do this tonight. I'll practice my Spanish and try and explain why my top 10 is the way it is.
Yeah, that's... You just, like... In some ways, you don't want to... You just should, like, go with what you feel.
Feelings are best, I think.
You know, and then like, think about why you felt that. Like, why did that film have to be included?
Yeah. I can already see myself agonising over this.
Oh, yeah, like, my top 10, I've almost had to be, like, strict with myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Otherwise it doesn't mean anything, does it?
Yeah. Because there's some films like Taxi Driver, like... I really love that film.
It's a good movie.
Like, they're all still 5 out of 5, but then if I, like, start comparing, sometimes I'm like, oh, do I want that on here over there? Should that really be above Truman Show? And, like, I watched, there's a couple of films recently that were, like, contenders that had me, like, wondering.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've seen Your Name.
Yeah. I've seen that twice, yeah. It's a good movie. I think it's really good. I probably said the first time it's going to hit you the most, because I rewatched it, like, this year. It's really good, and it's, like, the prettiest thing I've ever seen. I wouldn't put it... I don't think I've given it a 5. I think I gave it a 4. But it is, like, top-notch.
Yeah. That would, like, be the tell, I think.
Yeah.
Watch it again, and then I'd know whether it's, like... Because on my first watch, I absolutely loved it, but I've only seen it the once.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the reason Kung Fu Panda's on there is that I don't often rewatch films. I just don't. I like to see a new film that I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So it's not often that I go back and just put on something I've already seen. But Kung Fu Panda I must have seen half a dozen times. Like, with my family or by myself, and it's so funny. It has, you know, it's an animated film, and yet it has great choreography.
Yeah, it looks and everything happens, like, seamlessly.
So I feel like I can't have that be a film I've seen, like, more than most others and it not crack the top 10. Like,
I feel that. I think I rewatch a lot of movies or TV shows or replay games or reread books and stuff. So, like, I think the ones that will get pushed up into my top 10 are the ones that I keep going back to. Because that's, like, I know how much I like them if I keep going back and I watch Aliens again, or if I play Mass Effect 2 again. Like, I know that they're the ones that I love the most.
Yeah, when it's like calling to you, you know, through time,
yeah.
you know it's the good shit.
Like, I must have spent, I think I've beat Mass Effect 2 like 5 times, and I blasted through this last one that only took me like 18 hours because I just went through it dead quick. But I've easily spent 200 hours maybe on that one game. That's a fair few days of my life.
Yeah. Especially for, like, one game in a trilogy.
Yeah.
That you've also played loads of, and when it's a single player experience.
I'm just enjoying, like, the characters, and, like, sometimes I just sit and listen to, you know, in Mass Effect 1, is it Novera? Like the snow planet. Do you remember that place?
Yeah.
They've got, like, some really good, like, ambient techno and, like, the reception when you land the ship. I just sit and listen to, like, a mix of that for, like, an hour. Like, when I'm studying or something. It's so good.
Oh, yeah, there's some great... I've done the same with some like, Mass Effect music. because it's not got the words.
I love just to sit and have background shit on and then, like, just study or just like write or languages or play FIFA, because that's just like a non-activity at this point.
The thing that really sticks out about Mass Effect, like, you're saying like how many hours you've put in when it's so story driven.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like, there's games I've played for more than 200 hours, but they're either multiplayer games or they're more gameplay based.
Yeah, there's like mechanics and shit.
So you would expect, you'd expect to replay it more. So I'm thinking of like XCOM, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no reason why you can't do 2 campaigns of XCOM, because it's not really about the story. It's about like trying to beat it.
Yeah.
Whereas Mass Effect is all about learning and uncovering the story. So the fact that you can replay that, you know, despite how long it takes, despite the fact you know what every one of these options does now.
Yeah, I know everything. I think I don't have like all the achievements or anything, but I've done like doing all the side quests, doing all the shit that doesn't even matter, like scanning for fucking minerals in Mass Effect 2. I think it's just because although I think the writing goes down a little bit in 3, like, because the writing and the characters and the world they build is just so like engaging. I can just come back to it like every time. We won't talk about Mass Effect Andromeda because that is a shit game. It makes me sad.
I haven't even played it.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, it didn't grab me. Had Mass Effect 3 not been the end and this had been Mass Effect 4,
yeah,
I think I was always going to play it. But given that I'd had some amount of closure, and Andromeda I just didn't hear anything about it to indicate it would be new or interesting or worth my time.
There was some good bits. It's got like a really good premise, and there's some cool stuff like, because you're colonizing like this new galaxy, and like the problems that you're going to encounter, like what kind of outposts. Like there's going to be like some cool management, whereas like, okay, we've colonized this planet, you've got to like kill all the crazy aliens or put outposts down and stuff. Like some of that was like okay, and to be fair, the combat is like really good. The combat feels amazing. There's like tons of variety, but it was just like the most bland ass story and characters and stuff. Like they completely switched. They went from okay, like decent at times gameplay, not nothing special, but like amazing story, characters, writing, and they just flipped them. And I'm like, no, go back, because that was just
go back.
It's like a 2 or a 3 out of 5. You could play through it, but you're not going to get much out of it.
Yeah, just when there's so much else to do or play or watch or read.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to seek out an okay experience.
Like, I've not replayed that game. I bought it in 2016 when it came out, so it's been like 4.5 years. I think I tried to replay it once. I couldn't even get past the second mission. I just couldn't even do it. I was like, oh, I forgot how like beige this fucking game is.
When it's so much time to put in as well.
It's like a 50-hour game as well.
You know, like if somebody says, "Oh, this film is okay," there are times in my life when I want to kill an hour and a half, 2 hours. You know, or like I want to put a film on, and I'm going to play a game at the same time. Yeah. I don't want it to be a film that I feel like I've missed something if I don't pay attention.
Yeah, I get you.
You know, like I feel like that's a medium where, okay, if it's a bit mediocre, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to feel like I've been robbed of anything. Exactly. But if you put double-digit hours into a game and it's just beige, like...
What was the fucking point?
Yeah.
It also costs a lot of money. Because of the hours you can put into it, it costs £50 or £60 or whatever it is we're up to these days. I think I must have paid £50 for Mass Effect Andromeda. I probably put 40 hours into it. It was okay, pretty average, not amazing. Whereas I put 20 hours into The Last of Us 2, which I bought for the same price, and enjoyed that infinitely more, like 100% more. When games cost this much, you've got to be like pretty selective about what you're buying. Whereas a movie, you can just steal it or go on Netflix, which you already pay for, and watch it or whatever.
Yeah. Like, I've been playing a shitload of Rogue Legacy recently.
Oh, yeah.
Because they released Rogue Legacy 2. That game, like, Rogue Legacy 2 cost me something like 10, 15 quid. And I've already, like, just in the demo version, I've put, like, 12 hours in. And then I've gone back to Rogue Legacy, which didn't cost much as well. Yeah. And I'm nearly, like, 140 hours in that. Do you know what? So, like, when you can get that kind of value for money. If a game is coming out at like 60 quid, unless it's in a franchise I'm already like invested in, like XCOM,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pick it up.
I think, it's definitely. I think it helps when you want to buy like a new game that is coming out, when you already know you like that franchise and stuff. It's easier, isn't it, to buy it? It was easy for me to buy The Last of Us 2 because I love the first one so much. And because there's loads of new games that are going to come out for PS5 that I'm going to want to play, I sure as shit I'm not buying all of those at launch because that's like just too much money. I'll wait till they go down to like 20 quid PSN or whatever.
Yeah. The thing is with a game in a franchise you already care about is like you get to have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
If you buy it.
Definitely. Yeah.
You know, like if a new XCOM game comes out, like Chimera Squad came out, I was always going to pick that up.
Yeah.
Because even if it's not that great, even if I don't get that much out of it, I want to decide that for myself. I don't want to just, absorb from a review. Like, I love this series enough that I want to know whether that's game's worth playing, and I'll make that decision myself.
Exactly. Like The Last of Us 2 polarized all the fucking babies on the internet, but I was like, well, to be fair, most of the reviews are pretty positive, and I think I've played most of Naughty Dog's games anyway, and I've enjoyed them all. I love the first one, so yeah, they can have my £50 because I'm going to decide for myself, and lo and behold, I really liked it. So it's like, just decide for yourself, people. Reviews are good.
Yeah.
Wrong. Like, you need reviews in case the game's like broken or is trying to sell you stuff or has fucking Amazon Prime adverts in the middle of like MMA fights and stuff like UFC 4 did, which was insane.
Oh wow.
So bad. But if it's like a franchise you care about and you like it enough, I feel like you can just decide for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Right. I think that's everything. Should we call it?
Yeah.
I don't know what we're going to title it.
God knows. The PP podcast.
PP podcast, the beginning.